Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony, and did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
On today's episode, you are going to hear from Lynn Talbott. Lynn is the Vice President for Entrepreneurship for the Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce. She is also a consultant for QuickBooks and HR. Today, Lynn is going to share how we can manage remote workers and what that looks like in the new year of 2023. Let's listen in.
There's a restaurant in Canada called Freshie. If you've ever been up in Canada, it's kind of like a Subway. They're everywhere. They're 15 in every city, and they sell fresh food and smoothies and things like that. Well, when they shut down during the pandemic, people were panicking. They were like, no, we have to have our fresh food. When they tried to reopen, they couldn't find any cashiers. And at that time, people were paying minimum wage and they couldn't find cashiers. And so they started closing these locations all over. And people really did not like that. So this company hired another company to go figure out, how can we have a remote cashier? Because the people in the back can create, make the food and bring it out. And everything it's just a walk-in. You don't sit down or anything. It's just a walk-in, almost like a drive-through. And so they have that. You walk into a Freshie now, and there's a screen, and there's a lady there saying, "Hi, can I take your order?" And she helps you, answers all your questions about all the fruit smoothies and everything. And she's in Central America, probably making about $3 an hour. So there are ways to do some things remote, and it's catching on, and we're going to see it more and more, whether we like it or not. I think we're going to see it, more and more. So there's two types of companies. You can be what's called a remote first company. That means you have no headquarters, nothing. Everything is remote. The company that has purchased me is a remote first company. There is no really headquarters. We're all just in the cloud. And then there's remote friendly companies, which of course a lot of companies say, yes, you can work part-time at home or certain days. Maybe you have certain days that you do, or you can work fully remote, at home. But having workers, in other time zones is actually advantageous. When I first started doing remote, had my bookkeeping firm and I started hiring people in other areas, I was so worried about, the time zone difference, because I'm over here stuck in the East Coast time. And I think that's the only time zone, you should work in. And that's old-fashioned way of thinking, but that's the way I've always worked. And that's the way we've always worked. But actually having somebody in another time zone really stretches that day. Well, one, it's a little hard for a manager because they might be emailing you at 8 p.m, which is 5 o'clock their time. But you can also have some more work done, later in the day, or you can shift the work around. So it is beneficial. So why do we offer remote work? Like why would you, if you're a business owner or you're starting your business, why would you want to offer remote work? Well, 66% of the U.S. employees are working remotely right now, at least part-time. And 68% of Americans say that they prefer to be fully remote. And 16% of companies are fully remote. Now that's incredible. 16% of all companies in America are fully remote. That's huge. I don't know what the numbers were 5 years ago, but I bet they were a third of that, And 15% of all jobs posted online now are fully remote. So we talked a little bit earlier about how mothers, would bear the brunt of a lot of the childcare and getting your kids. And, we do that because we love our kids and we want to be with them. And then we have this job too. But being able to do both and being able to work from home allows you to hop up, run, take your kid or run, pick them up without really disrupting the work. If you were at an office and you had to stop, go get your kid, take them to soccer practice, come back, work, go back, get your kid, it would be disruptive. But if you're working remote, it doesn't matter, especially if you're, you don't have to be right there in front of the computer 9 to 5 every single day. Your work can fluctuate and be just as productive working, taking 30 minutes here and 30 minutes here, but also just giving you a little calm. One, it gives you a break from work to get up and do something with your kids or spouse or whatever. And then two, you get to feel like, oh, I don't have to hire somebody to do that. Or I like doing that. I like picking up my kids and kind of seeing how they're doing and how their day's going. You don't want to miss out on that. So is remote work here to stay? Yes, it is. 94% of employees report feeling that they are more productive when they work remotely. And I will tell you, when I started having my employees work remotely in 2014, I had an employee who'd been working for me for about 3 years. Her husband got transferred to Mississippi. Now, we do bookkeeping and accounting, and we do everything in the cloud. We use Dropbox and we use QuickBooks Online. There's nothing on our computer, nothing. There's nothing on the computer but just some hardware. We're not allowed to store anything because it's safer where we store it in the cloud. And so when she left, when she was leaving, her client said, well, we want to keep her. We want to work with her. Can we still do that? And I said, yeah, let's figure it out. So I had her take a computer. She took it to Mississippi, and, the rest is history. She's been working for me for a long time, and it worked out well. And when that happened, I started looking around and I was like, if y'all want to work from home one day a week, all the women, they were all women. All of us had children, some at different ages, some younger, some maybe in college, but wanted to be home. And it was just a great work environment. And that was long before the pandemic. So it's kind of interesting that that when the pandemic came along, I wasn't special anymore because, everybody could work from home. But you will reduce your turnover if you can offer some remote work. That it has been shown that if you can offer remote work, people will more than likely, want to stay there. So some of the benefits, we've been talking about this. The very first one, the 75% of the people say the number one benefit for them working remote is a work-life balance. And we've been talking about that all day. And so if you work from home, and let me know in the chat there, do you feel like you have a better work-life balance because you're able to work from home, even part-time? What a relief to just be able to do 1 or 2 days at home where you can kind of just not have to get all dressed up, and you can just do your thing and throw a load of laundry in and things like that make you feel like you've accomplished more, but not just for your boss. You've done it for you as well.
What's up, ladies? We are going to pause right there and go deeper. How amazing is it that Lynn just said accomplishing more, but not just for your boss, but for yourself? That is hugely important. Harvard Business Review just did a survey and came out with this article about how many businesses and companies find it effective to have this hybrid model of including remote work, because there's going to be an upside and a downside to fully remote or fully in person. And to think that there's like one cure-all is an unrealistic expectation. And so it's finding that balance. And I love how Lynn talked about that of the benefits of remote work, and that it extends your day. It allows you to make progress. Again, just in doing the load of laundry, how that helps you to feel accomplished. And when we feel more accomplished, we tend to be more productive. We want to continue on with that good feeling, and driving into work and standing around the water cooler and all the stereotypes of what an office work life is like. It can be really hard for people, especially after coming back from the pandemic where we were forced to be inside. And I think if we look back at history and all of the times that circumstances forced us to be innovative, I mean, that's where we come up with our best ideas and our best innovations, is when we're like, you know what, this status quo isn't working. What can we do to fix it? And I think it's really important as women that we are listening to what this world is saying, and take it through the lens that we fully have the ability to produce the results that we want to see. It doesn't have to be from everybody else. We don't have to wait and see how everybody else does it. Here at Women Leaders, we deal with a lot of top CEO women, right? The top entrepreneurs, trailblazers, these women who are in the forefront, creating and innovating, and perhaps they have a baby on their hip. Like, I know we almost talk about this in every episode, but why does it have to look a certain way? Shouldn't our ability to impact others be more about our message and our story and what we bring to the table as far as the results we are able to help people get? It should be about the results that we are able to help people get, and not what a name tag says, or what a desk plate says, or the name on the door, or the letters behind our name. It's my personal opinion about that. We all have value to give. And we really start to create a new wave of change as women, as leaders, when we stand by that statement and start living it out, to see that we not only have value, not because of our title, not because of the letters that might follow our name, but because we have value, period. And when we can start living into that and helping others live into that, that's what leadership is. You have people following you. Otherwise, you're just taking a walk. I think that's an old Chinese proverb. Leadership is influence. And we all are exchanging influence every single day with every single person we come into contact with. And one of the things that's hard about remote work is that we have lost a bit of that. We have lost a bit of being able to look people in the eye, being able to read their body language, being able to hear the tone in their voice. It's all very important in communicating. I mean, what is it? I think the statistic is like only 10% is the actual words you use in clear communication. 90% is everything else that I just mentioned. It's huge. It's huge. I sent out an email the other day, and I was in the frame of mind while I was typing the email, and I was all happy and supportive and encouraging, and had this like, you go girl type, presence I was bringing out. And it was not received that way at all. It was not received that way at all. She was like, I can't believe you're telling me that I should go create something when I'm doing what I've been called to do. And you're telling me that I need to go create something? I need to stop what I'm doing and go create this? And I was like, oh, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying stop doing that. I'm just saying, if you're looking to other people to create something that you desire to have, girl, like, perhaps look in yourself, because maybe you're the one that's meant to create it. Maybe you're the one that's meant to blaze that trail. And see, had I been able to talk to her in person and transfer that energy and the tone in my voice and the light in my eyes and this encouragement energy that I have, I believe it would have been received completely differently. But oftentimes through email and messaging, the tone that we are reading in is what we're feeling in the moment. The energy that we have and that current state that we are in. Have you ever had that happen? You send a text message and you're like, you think you're being witty, and the person receives it and is like, I can't believe you just said that. And you're like, whoa, wait, no. Pause, that's not what I meant. So there is this lack that happens from completely remote work. And I think that's important of what Lynn was talking about is having these other systems in play. She had that software that people can log into and you actually see their little circle and you can go, join a video chat with them. It's so important to be able to utilize all those resources that technology has come so far with to help us feel included and to be able to see each other and to receive the communication and the way that we need to be able to receive it so that we're not receiving it in our perhaps not best state of being. It's super important. Another thing that I wanted to touch on that Lynn talked about was productivity. So in the statistic that she shared, 94% of people feel more productive while working remotely. And again, I think that has so much to do with the fact that we get to go and tend to the things that need to be tended to without having to walk into the office, talk to your boss, be like, I've got to go pick up this prescription for my kid, or I've got to go pick him up and take him to soccer practice. I'll be back. And it's just this that doesn't need to happen. I think as leaders, if you are thinking about providing a remote working atmosphere, perhaps a hybrid atmosphere, part of your role as a leader is to equip and empower your people to work the best way possible, to feel like, yes, if I need you to check in, I need you to check in at these times. You can absolutely still hold people accountable and still not have to micromanage them. That is my biggest thing. I will get the job done because I hold myself to a high standard. If somebody starts to micromanage me, that's when I'm like, you're going to have to back off a little bit. Like, you're going to have to give me room to breathe, because that's when I get creative. That's when I get into flow. That's when I'm able to produce results in a shorter amount of time. Because how our brain works, if we say, okay, you have to be in the office today, for 8 hours, and these are the tasks that you have to get done. Your brain goes, sweet, I have 8 hours to accomplish these 4 things. If you're at home and you're like, all right, I got 30 minutes while the dryer is going. I need to get on and I need to, send out these emails. I need to do this, and this. And you condense the amount of time. Your brain goes, all right, let's do it. Like, let's pump into action. Let's get this nailed down. And you lose the ability to wiggle room, to have that wiggle room. You don't need it. I can be extremely productive in 45 minutes. I'm going to do it when I'm at my highest energy level. I'm going to do it, when I've been fed, when I'm not angry. There's certain things that for me to be my most productive self, they kind of have to fall in line. And so for me, remote work is crucial. Like, that's the work that I want to do, is remote work. I am such a team player. I love to be a part of a team. I love to be an encourager. Like, I'm both an entrepreneur. I have my own thing, and I also work for other people as well. Why? Because I can, and I enjoy it. Again, like, let's get out of this box that we've created of a leader has to look this way. That's why I'm wearing a hoodie right now, recording this podcast. I know if you're listening, you can't see it, but those of you who are watching on YouTube can. So much of when I was getting ready this morning, I was, going to put on my normal business attire, which for me is not really fancy anyway. And I'm at home, like, pretty much guaranteed my bottom half is always going to be in lounge pants. Just saying. But I was going to, wear a nicer shirt. And then I was like, no, specifically for this podcast, I'm going to be sure I'm recording in a hoodie, because it doesn't negate the message. And if If you are one that discounts what somebody says because of how they dress, how they look, their nameplate, I'm going to encourage you to check yourself. You are missing out on a world of beauty and enjoyment and powerful connections with people. Oh, I don't remember who did it, but there was a study done back at a business school. And the only way to pass this class was the final exam. And, they study, they're prepared, they're ready to take this exam. And there's one question on the exam, and it says, "What is our janitor's name?" And so many people failed. They sure as heck knew who the dean was, but they didn't know who their janitor was. In this society of today, here in 2023, where we are heavy into cancel culture and we are heavy into trying to be extremely inclusive, we still have old systems that we abide by. And so often we're not even aware of it. And it's becoming aware and knowing that I do have the ability to change. Even if I don't have the reach yet, even if I don't have the resources yet to make massive amounts of change. Maybe, I am not the CEO or the COO. Maybe I'm a manager. Maybe I'm a director. Maybe I, have a lower tier role. So maybe I don't have the ability to change the company yet. I can change myself. I can begin to impart change, positive change, on those that I do have influence over. Progress over perfection. And as you are either in remote work or, looking for remote work or thinking about how can I incorporate remote work into my business, there has to be a level of empowerment to the people that you are allowing to work remote, whether hybrid or fully remote. It definitely requires a certain motivation, a certain skill level. There's definitely requirements that have to be met to be able to run business. And that is okay. And that's acceptable. You have to say those up front. And Lynn talked about that. You have to set those expectations up front. One of the questions in the full talk that Lynn did, one of the questions that was asked at the end was, do you make your people log in and have their camera on the whole day? And she was like, "Oh, no, that sounds terrible," because it does. Why? The best way I work is give me a do-by. Give me the list of what needs to be done, any expectations you have around it so that I'm clear. Know that if I have a question, I will ask, and give me a do-by. Fuzzy agreements are what make it really hard for highly driven people, those who can take a task and be like, all right, this might take somebody 4 hours. It's going to take me 40 minutes because that's what I have to give. I worked so much better that way. It was the same when I was in school. Like when I had a fully packed day of school and then practice afterwards, and then it was okay. Then I had homework, and then I, ate dinner, and then I went to bed. I performed the best in all of the things because I had to make the most out of the time that I had. If I had 45 minutes, it's like you're challenging your brain. Let's do this. We have 45 minutes to get this task accomplished. And your brain goes, okay, let's do it. Let's go into gear. So as long as you're setting the expectations, and you for yourself as well, like if you're not on the hiring side and talking about remote work, if you are the remote worker, know yourself. If you have a hard time setting a schedule and keeping on time and running a calendar and letting your calendar run your day and setting alarms and all of that. If you struggle with that, remote work is probably not for you. Just put it out there. Just saying it. It could be. You got to work on some things. Don't kid yourself that way. Like, don't set yourself up for failure. Know yourself. I remember one time I had an employee back in one of my brick and mortar businesses, and I was doing, he wasn't my employee. I was doing an interview, and it was for a very successful salon. And I mean, we were busy all day. People, stylists would run back and shovel food in their mouths. And like, that was their lunch break. Right. And, he comes in and he's sitting down and he's got, a really cool hairstylist vibe, and he's saying all the right things until he gets, we're getting into the interview, and he goes, I just need to let you know one thing. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, let's bring it out now. Let's be open and honest now and get it out in the interview. He was like, I take a 2-hour nap every day from 12 to 2 o'clock. Non-negotiable. And I was like, okay. Thank you. Thank you for being that honest. You're not a right fit for us. You know what I mean? But like, he wasn't willing to budge and I wasn't willing to budge. And so we were able to like mutually part ways. No big deal. Let's stand in our own authority and say, like, these are the areas that I am willing to budge on. These are the things that I'm not. Get really clear with your expectations. One, as an employee or an entrepreneur, somebody that's in charge more of their own schedule, and one as the CEO that is in charge of leading other people and managing systems. Know your limits. And that's one of the greatest things about working with a coach and working in mastermind groups is if you want to improve those things. If you're like, you know what, I want to work remote. I'm tired of sucking and not being able to follow my calendar. I'm tired of the same old excuses. I'm tired of being in the exact same position year after year, saying I want more for my life and not getting it. That's what being in these groups and working with a coach does for you. It helps to break down those barriers, help you get to the root of why you continue to live into those habits, because they're habits. Like, that's what it is. So now we got to create new habits, but you can't just like dump a truckload of new habits on your life. You'll just go into shock. And so when you get encompassed in a group of encouraging women who are going higher and are in this new trajectory, there is that momentum that kind of takes you with it. I'm going to say it all day, every day to anybody who will listen. This world is too hard to do on your own. You don't have to. You're not meant to. You're leaving a whole bunch of happiness on the table, trying to figure it out all by yourself. There are people that want to help. There are people that can help. It's time to be open to that and to receive that help and to invest in that help. It's super important for how you are going to continue to move up in this world. One last thing that I wanted to touch on that Lynn talked about was, again, understanding the challenges of not just what challenges you may have, right, with not being able to keep your calendar and things like that. But, she brought up lack of supervision, distractions, feeling disconnected, tech issues. All of that matters. And so, again, really looking at all the possibilities and being crystal clear on what your expectations are of yourself and of the position are super important. And that is the way that you are going to be able to set yourself up for success. And that's what we want. We want to know that at the end of the day, the influence and the impact that we had on this world, on humanity, mattered. I think really, if we take a step back, that's what we all desire, to know that we're making a difference, that what we're doing matters. So really be honest with yourself and be able to see, yeah, okay, this is for me. Remote work is for me. Or nope, you know what? I need to be in office all day, every day. I need more of the hand-holding. I need more of that, supervised structure. And that's okay too. It doesn't have to look one way and that's it. We definitely learned that after the pandemic. Like, it's time to innovate. And if you're like, you know what, neither one of them quite works for me, you can create your own. And I'm not meaning that like that person took it from me in my email of like, stop what you're doing and go do this instead. But really ask yourself, if this is something that keeps coming up for you and you really have this desire to have this certain way of business, of doing business, or you have this certain desire to create something that you're not finding, go create it. You can. You don't have to, but you can. Don't let conditions and circumstances hold you back. If you're like, but I don't even know how, find the who to help you with your how. Okay? You can do it. And that's what I want to leave you with today. Listen, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure you rate, review, and share with a friend. And if you're wanting more, if you're wanting to know, okay, well, how can I get connected to a coach? How can I get connected to a mastermind group? You have got to check out our membership at Women Leaders. You can go to womenleaderspodcast.com and get all the information right there. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.